clearly?
Yes,
Yeah.
no
So
problem.
now,
No problem.
can I share my screen?
Yes, please. Okay,
Yeah.
the title of the talk is Motivating Chinese Higher Vocational College Students in English Reading. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's enjoy the talk now.
Okay. So can you see my PPT, everyone?
Yes, and you can now start the slideshow.
Okay.
Great,
So,
thank you. It's over you now.
I'm so nervous. This is the first time I give presentation in Zoom. I'll try my best to manage the timing. Okay, now I'll get started. Okay. Well, today my topic is how to motivate Chinese higher vocational college students in English reading, and I am from vocational college in China. And my main points are as follows. Number one, how our extensive reading program was developed, and how students shared their personal reading experiences with each other, which I think is very important to enhance their interest, and how teacher shared her reading experiences with students, and how we try to enlist help from others, just as what Rob told us to do. Well, so firstly, I'll explain what we have done so far. So in the beginning, that was a long time ago, about 10 years ago, when strategy-based instruction was popular, we refer to Rebecca Oxford's language learning strategies as our theory. And firstly, we focused on vocabulary learning strategies and used English vocabulary in use as our textbook. But quickly we found that it's not effective to teach vocabulary alone. Vocabulary instruction needs to be combined with reading instruction. So we focus on 5 reading strategies, namely skimming, scanning for fast reading, inferencing, predicting, and summarizing. And our purpose is to improve students' reading proficiency, namely their reading speed and their reading comprehension. And we refer to Professor Gu Yongqi's book, and we were also inspired by Anderson's active reading, and these are the 2 textbooks we used. But then in 1 year, we found it didn't work well because, well, my colleagues complained that there were a lot of drills in class, which made her blood pressure so high, and my students said it seems that they were doing a lot of exercises, which made them feel that they're back in their high school days. So this made us think, and we made some improvements accordingly. So the purpose, we gradually realized that reading interest is the most important. Just as Rob said yesterday, motivation is the best teacher. And as for the tools to monitor students' reading improvements, instead of using the traditional pre-post-test strategy use questionnaire and strategy use form, we try to have informal talk with our students during the break, and we use reading record form and the questionnaire to find out their suggestions and the feedback. And as for the materials, instead of using textbooks only, we try to look for resources everywhere, as long as it is appropriate for our course, such as books, magazines, newspaper, textbooks, and any online resources such as audio stories. And in the past, we didn't have any extensive reading tasks, but from last year on, we had serving the college library in the first semester when, well, in September, teachers will lead all the students to our college library and help them find the right books for them. And then to monitor their reading progress, we use reading record, and we ask students to do book report, and we also began a newspaper reading project this year. And the things we have tried so far are as follows. We try to combine reading with writing, such as ask students to finish reading stories in class and write a short report. We also have after class whole book reading. Students need to finish reading at least 2 books a year and do some fun exercises, and they need to finish book report. And we also try to combine reading with speaking, such as students need to finish a presentation task, that is try to sell the book. That is a whole group, that is about 4 people read the same book. After finish reading the book, they will try to sell the book, try to advertise the book to the whole class. And then we have some video shooting projects, because students like to have performance, such as adapted. They try to adapt traditional fairy tale into new ones and demonstrate the story in a video. And they also had book talk. That is, after reading the same book, they talked about everything about this book and submit a video. And I will play the best ones in class. I also have some individual interview with students to find out whether they have finished reading the book. And the last 2 is my emphasis today, that is how teacher and students shared their reading experiences. Because I think if teacher is the role model for extensive reading, her or his passion for reading will be passed on to students and help students become lifelong readers and learners. And students sharing reading experiences with each other will be very motivating because they're peers. So this is one example of our extensive reading task. This semester, I asked students to finish reading a detective story written by, it's a detective story about Sherlock Holmes, The Sign of 4. These are some fun exercises, not the traditional blank filling and multiple choice. And this is the feedback from a lady, which was really encouraging, because she said this reading experience helped her get more interested in reading novels. And this is the longest one she has ever read. Yeah, and then I, as teacher, also share my reading experiences with my students. And this is this is what I did last semester, because one of my hobbies is to visit independent bookstores and universities. When I was on a business trip, I visited more than maybe 20 bookstores, home and abroad. So I made a PPT. There are more than 200 slides in which I shared my stories with the students, so that I'm trying to encourage students to visit bookstores more and find things they like. And I also interact a lot with my students on WeChat, such as I look for English magazines in our college libraries and told them where they can find them, such as The Economist, The New Yorker, and the Reader's Digest. And some serious readers will really go to the library and read something and take some notes. And we also began a newspaper reading project, because I found 2 English newspaper in the reading area in our college library, China Daily and Shenzhen Daily. I asked them to take some notes and try to practice skimming and scanning. And I also share some interesting newspaper articles with students on WeChat, such as one about a lady who is good at playing violin, who is also from Shenzhen, and the other one is about a very popular shopping center which was newly opened in our city. And sometimes I also recommended my favorite books to students. For example, this book is about a bookstore which specializes in selling fine arts books. It's about the boss, and the story of the bookstore is in Xi'an. And I also recommend some English novels such as The Hunger Games. And I told them that if they're interested in the story, they can also look for the film to enjoy it. And I also introduced the Shenzhen City Library to our students and hope that they will visit the library. For example, this is the brief introduction about the service they offer, and this is the self-service machine where you can order book online. And these are about some activities organized by the local libraries, such as reading, film watching, music, how to make coffee, cuisine, and yeah. So, and I also tell them about the book fair in our city, such as a big one, which was held every year in November. This is how it looked like. I went there because it's near my home, and some students really went there and buy something they like. Yeah, these are about a very famous bookstore, Chengpin Shudian from Taiwan. I asked them to go there after before the last day of their they were forced to be closed because of the pandemic. And this is something about a very interesting bookstore boss in Kunming. And I also share some information about bookstores in Shenzhen. This is a Shenzhen Public Cultural Service Guide, where you can find all the information about the bookstores in the city. And now I'm going to tell you how students share their reading experiences with each other. So one lady volunteered to recommend her favorite writer, a Chinese writer named He Wapi, who writes suspense stories, and another one introduced San Mao or Echo from Taiwan. And this is interesting. I remember that on the first day of the second semester, I chatted randomly with a lady, and I asked her what she did during the winter vacation. She said she went to 5 bookstores on her own because I introduced so many interesting bookstores to them, and she really wanted to have a try. So she made a PPT and introduced the 5 very interesting and beautiful bookstores in our city, and I'm so happy. Some students also share their favorite books and articles on WeChat, like this. And this is The Old Man and the Sea. And they also shared what they read in the English newspaper at our college. And they also shared their experiences of visiting bookstores on WeChat. I didn't ask them to do this. It's just I added them as my friends on WeChat, and I remembered them sharing their experiences on WeChat, so I asked them to send me the screenshots. So this is the Book City in Shenzhen, and this is an independent bookstore in Longhua, and some more. I think maybe the first or the second time they went to the bookstore, they might only focus on the design and maybe not the books, but the more they went, maybe the more chances they will look at the books and begin to read. And they also shared their moments spent in our college library like this a lot. Yeah, I was so surprised. These were all posted by a lady named Professor Huang. She went to our college a lot. Yeah, I need to skip this because there's a lot. Yeah, this is our library. It's very beautiful, right? And some students also shared their experiences of attending activities at bookstores and libraries, such as a lady went to a activity held at a bookstore. Yeah, at a bookstore where the writer shared with the audience, the readers, and the other one, a gentleman, shared his volunteer experiences at bookstore, and he also listened to a lecture. And the last part, I want to say something about how we try to enlist help from others. So I remember that this year, Tom suggested us setting up our mini library. I mean, buying more graded readers for our students. And I tried to contact my colleagues working at the college library. And to my surprise, she told me that this year, our college has a lot of money, that is several millions of RMB, and I can apply for a small portion of it. So I spent a whole week collecting information about graded readers. And as you can see, there are more than 900. And to my happiness, and I also wrote a letter to the curator at our college library and told him about the reason why we need the books, what books to buy, why these books, and who will benefit from the books. And in the end, to my happiness, my colleague at the library said most of the books were purchased and they will be on the shelf this October. And she also told me that the bookseller will help us set up a poster like this, set up a corner for reading books in our library, and put up a poster like this. And I also tried to talk to the principal. Rob yesterday told me that we need to educate our principal and tell them how important books and reading are. And well, I really want to make our voice heard. And I explained our difficulties to the principal and asked for more funds to attend international conferences and training, and especially more money for purchasing books. And the response from the principal is, he asked for more details about my research projects on reading. And he said, why not carry out a project with the college library? And said, I don't need to worry about the funds. I'm so happy about the results. And to end my presentation, I want to quote some what Professor Krashen said at this conference, which is in July this year in Hangzhou. And to my surprise, he read a lot of graded readers in Spanish and also in Chinese. These are something that I identified with him, and I firmly believe in the power of reading. And my eldest son is now 10 years old, and he is now reading chapter books like A to Z Mysteries and Judy Moody and my Weird School. And I remember that in the past 4 years, he has read thousands of graded readers, and I think my students can also do it. In the end, I want to thank the following people for their generous help. Without them, I will not achieve so much. And the first, my gratitude goes to my teammates, Lei and Heidi, who is in the same team with me with my research project, and my mentor, Dr. Angie Malderas from the UK, and Professor Tom Robb, who has given me so many valuable suggestions on books, book list, setting up libraries, and M-Reader, and so on. Thank you so much. And also my thanks goes to my students. Over the past 10 years, there are more than 1,000 students who gave me suggestions and feedback and helped me become a better and resilient teacher. And that's all for my presentation. Hope it can be of some help for you. Thank you.